I do know how to take risk. They're absolutely right. We have been in the middle here for a few years. I like where we are right now, more in the middle. But given an opportunity, if it makes some sense, I've definitely got risk-taking in me.
Oh, God, it's so good. Injected it right into my veins. This is so good. Oh, it's so good. Oh, it's just so good. Old codger Jerry Jones admitting, I like where we are in the middle. I like where we are in the middle. Yeah, isn't it great to be in the middle, Jerry? Never good enough to win a Super Bowl? Oh, it's got to be great. You just got to love it. Which is why, as I always say, the Cowboys are the perfect team. They're always good enough to be relevant, but never great enough to actually threaten winning anything of note. Cowboys fans, just so you know, your owner is really happy being in the middle. What do we always say? The worst place to be is in the middle because you're not good enough to win anything and you're not bad enough for a great draft pick. Here's Jerry saying, we love it in the middle. We love it. I love it. Also, what a delusional old codger to say, yeah, the Eagles went for it. That's really risky. They did? They have a third-year starting quarterback that could have been the MVP this year. I see draft picks, first-rounders for miles to come around the Eagles. I don't see them going all in. I see a starting wide receiver that's 2 years in the league. I see a team that's got plenty of talent on a pretty wide window here. I see a head coach only in his second year at the helm. I don't see this as the end of the road. I don't see the Eagles paying some type of massive price for this success. They're just better run than you because they have a football guy running it, not an old oil man. It's just great. You know, the Eagles have an owner that puts a football guy in place and gets out of the way. The Cowboys have Yosemite Sam run the football department. I say. Wee-haw! Boom, 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 boom. I like being in the middle. I mean, it's just perfect. It's just freaking perfect. Also, I mean, I guess I get it. When you're old and you're desperate, you make up excuses. But in the same week, Jerry Jones has invoked that, well, the Niners haven't won a Super Bowl either in 30 years. And, well, the Eagles are doing it really risky. Well, you know, just for bleeps and giggles, if we just compared your last 30 years, Jer, that Niners team that also hasn't won a Super Bowl has been to 2 of them and been to 7 NFC championship games. This Eagles team that you say is all risk, this is their second Super Bowl appearance in 5 years. It's their third in the last 20 years. And they've also been to 7 NFC championship games. Again, a 3-decade block. Niners, 2 Super Bowl appearances, 7 NFC title games. The Eagles, 3 Super Bowl appearances, 7 NFC title games. The Cowboys, 0-0. So maybe, Jerry, you might want to do things a little bit more like the Niners or a little bit more like the Eagles. Unless, of course, you just like being in the middle. Oh, it's just so good. It just is so good. And by the way, I didn't see the video. I only heard the audio. Is that Stephen Jones sitting next to him going, yeah. Yeah, that's right, Pappy. Yeah, that's right, Dad. Or is that one of the media bootlickers?
You know, I didn't focus in on who was next to him. I was locked in the I'd have to look at that.
Did you hear somebody going,
yeah, that would sound like Stephen. It didn't even dawn on me to pay attention to who that was. I'll go back and look.
It's the best. This is the best. Unless you're a Cowboys fan, this is just the best. We want to be in the middle?
You can't utter that as an owner. You can't utter that as an
You
owner.
want to be in the middle.
And by the way, bashing the Eagles and Rams for being aggressive. Well, Jerry, they've put a trophy in the case, or the Eagles might be about to as well. So maybe it's paid off.
The Eagles did it 5 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. So how could you say that you'd rather be in the middle and they're going to pay for that down the line? Well, they also had parades that could pay for it.
Yeah. And does it suggest that as much as we talk about Jerry wanting to win a Super Bowl before he dies, does it suggest that actually Jerry Jones just wants to be relevant? Would rather not take a big swing and then miss the playoffs like the Rams are going to do. They did this year, and maybe they'll do for a couple of seasons. Would he rather just be 10-6, 11-5, 7-10, 10-7? Would he rather just always do that? Because again, it's better for business that you get to just keep filling up a stadium and actually, as we like to say, fuel the jet. Fuel the private jet. We don't really care about winning a Super Bowl. It's actually more important for us to just kind of be okay every year and never mortgage the farm. He might be at that point as well. Maybe we overestimate that as an old guy that doesn't have much time left, that he's desperate for a Super Bowl. Maybe he's actually not.
See, I disagree. I think it's excuse making, and this comes from somebody who knows a lot about excuse making.
You sure do.
I think that he knows now it's gotten to the point, because if it wasn't DA, why every August does he talk about this team can win a Super Bowl? We're going to win a Super Bowl. Like he talks about it more than any other owner. And then when they inevitably keep falling flat, he knows it's embarrassing. So make excuses about well, we could do it the Eagle or Ram way, but then you're going to pay for it down the line. So I'm okay being in the middle and taking shots. He's making excuses after the fact to sell to his fan base. He's already let down the expectations he set before the season.
I think that's right. Because ultimately the buck stops with him, that every football decision comes back to his desk. And if he keeps building a team, 30 years of doing this, and they can't even make the NFC Championship game. I mean, think about the teams that have lucked into an NFC Championship game in the last 30 years, or AFC. The Jaguars have been to 3 AFC title games in this span. Everybody gets to one, except the Lions.
The Vikings made one with Case Keenum.
I mean, and it always comes back to him. He has to keep making excuses that I've taken risks, cut me open, I got the scars to take risks. Well, maybe they're not the right risks then, because your team's never good enough.
And here's where it's hollow. In August, when they go to Oxnard, California, and put on their whole dog and pony show to how great the Cowboys are, and Jerry Jones is interviewed, is Jerry Jones going to say in August, just remember this year, we're happy being in the middle? Or is he going to talk Super Bowl again? It's just hogwash right now after they've been let down again.
It was him in October saying we've got a Super Bowl caliber team.
Of course. He sells a load of elephant you-know-what to us every year. And if you're the one still buying it, shame on you.
It's great. It's just so great. I mean, you have to, if you are a fan of anybody but the Cowboys from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, you know how obnoxious it was when the Cowboys were good. Michael Irvin, all those loudmouth, brash Cowboys of the 90s, when they got Dion, Barry Switzer, Jimmy Johnson, Jerry Jones. I mean, they took a victory lap on everybody all of the time. They whooped it up. They laughed in your face. They couldn't help but tell you how great they were. And Jerry was the king of kings. And to think 30 years later that they're just such a joke. They're just the biggest punchline. I mean, they're never gonna win a Super Bowl. It's just never gonna happen. And that Jerry says dumb stuff like, well, I mean, we wouldn't want to be the Eagles. You wouldn't? They've got a game next Sunday. Well, we wouldn't want to be the Eagles here. We'd rather be in the middle. The Eagles have been in the middle too, and they win Super Bowls. It's just perfect. It's just great, and it is just such a reminder that even the wealthiest, most powerful people can't have it all. You'll never have everything. We all, if you grind away a career or a life, you're trying to pay bills, this or that, you say, boy, I'd love to be rich. I'd love to have all the money in the world. And don't get me wrong. money writes away a lot of checks for a lot of problems. Don't get me wrong. Things get a lot easier. But you just simply can't have it all. And Jerry is wealthy beyond belief. He has too much money he'll never be able to spend, especially in the dwindling years of his life. He's got all of these sycophants around him and family members that just got to keep telling him how great he is so that they can inherit the team. I mean, Steven cannot get in his way because then he risks not having all of the control of the team when Jerry's on his deathbed. And then you have, Mike McCarthy's got to tell Jerry the song and dance that he wants to hear and everything else. And then the media has to be accessible. They have to allow Jerry to say his dopey things and go on the radio every single week because that's how they get access. Everybody around him has to play by the Jerry game. But ultimately, Jerry has all the money, all the sycophants, all the yes men, all the everything. He can pay to have his illegitimate daughter go away for 25 years and she can have to exist in no man's land, but he cannot win at football. He just can't do it. He can't figure it out, and it kills him. And it's great. It's just great. It's the best pain we can all share is watching Jerry Jones, flail through life. And then, you have all these people that, again, just want to, suck at the teat of the Cowboys' money. Oh, he's a father figure. Oh, he's the greatest owner. He was with me through the dark times. He's also a dope. I mean, he's also a football dope, and he's kind of embarrassing in many ways. But, he's great entertainment for the rest of us. And it's just beautiful. We like being in the middle. That's awesome. It says everything.